play a game.
I should go live, shouldn't I? I'm uploading a short. It's important. It's funny. You should watch it. There will be tutorials and stuff going live right about now as well. Not that you really need tutorials because it is the Cargoline. Cargoline. Hello, Andy. Looking through the names, I think everybody from the other stream has come over. Hello to G. Dave. I didn't see you on the other one. And I think the rest of you, hello to all of you. Hello, Holy Trucker. All right. Let's start with Thomas. No, we won't do that. That's mean. All right. Let us start with the scenarios for the Class 20. There's a training module for the Class 20, which actually does a cold start, which is quite a nice change. No, 2-0. Oh, come on, computer. Don't do this to me. Do you know, Train Sim World was perfect until right now. Don't tell me Windows is installing updates or something stupid. Probably is. Alrighty. There are two. And it subs in for a lot of other stuff. So you're going to see this little blue thing everywhere. 6062 crew signings to Dungeness. And 6795 Dungeness to Sellafield. There you go. That's the two scenarios for the Class 20. Let's look at the services for the Class 20. As someone makes lots of noise in the kitchen. Cargoline Nuclear. It's not on the West Somerset Railway. And it's not on Cathcart. It's subbing in on those ones. But it is here. West Coast Main Line. There are a whole four for the... whole four. Four. Count them. 4 services. At least they're all long. So they're all an hour. That's all right. It's quite good. The pack's cheap. Now, a couple of other things. If we go off to... choose a route. There's no services on MML. That's static stock only. And if we go off to Riviera and we go to timetable mode and we go for a class 66 and we go for a DRS 66, there are 2 services. Gloucester to Unsettled. No, yes, that's it. Empty nuclear flask train from St David's to Plymouth. And loaded nuclear fast train from Plymouth to Exeter Riverside. Now, these ones have security detail with them. Enough said. We might look at that. Enough said. All right, what else are we going to look at? What was the other bloody line? I screwed up my post-it note and threw it away before, but there's another one. Oh, yeah, Shap. Ship. West Coast Main Line, Preston to Carlisle, and timetable Cargoline Nuclear, and it's the 47 blue. 47 blue. And I think there's 2. There's the IC and that one, the high LL. And if we go in here and go nuke, there you go. There's lots of services on Shap. Most of them are short-ish, but there's some really long ones. Kingmore Yard to Preston. So that's basically a full-length run, which is pretty cool. And I think it's the same services if you pick the other one, which is this one. Come on, pick it. Thank you. And we go nuclear. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the same services. Looks the same. Looks the same to me. We're going to run the training for this thing up first. Oh, hang on. Journeys. There's journeys. And we want... which one's it on? I can't look for Cargoline, can I? What am I doing? I'm silly. But there's a journey for this. And it's on... which one is it? Is it on Shap? I'm trying to remember which one's got the journey in it, but there is one. There we go. Cargoline Nuclear. There's 11 things to do with 3 scenarios. Oh, I forgot about the 3 scenarios on Shap, but there's 3 scenarios on Shap and the services. So that's your journey. And there is also a journey on the other West Coast main line. So if we have a quick look at that one, WCML, this one, Nuclear, and there are 3 scenarios and 2 services to run. Right. Let's go and have a look at the training. Because it's your first introduction to the 20. It is basically the same 20, but it's had some stuff done to it. It's that one, Cargoline Class Introduction. Week. And yes, I've done it. Tay McElroy, hello. 46 viewers. Ah, it's looking good for Cargoline. There you go. There's the beast. 2306. The scenario will want me to do stuff, but we'll have a look around.
Class 20 practical training session. You'll be taken through startup, shunting and driving of this 1,000 horsepower diesel locomotive. These locomotives were first introduced as part of the British Rail Modernisation Plan of the 1960s. The type features a single driving cab at one end. Mounted on 2 bogies each with 2 axles, this configuration is known as Bo-Bo. Over 200 of these locomotives were originally built.
Come to the rear and check the headlights. Whoop. See, it's got new headlights. Look at that. Stolen from a 66. Oh, I should show you the bug. Is it active yet? No, it's not. Oh, here we go. So there's a thing for the fuel cap, right? But it's over there. It's a remote control fuel cap. There you go. You wanted me to show you the bugs. And whoop. Oh, we've got to go to the front and check the headlights. There we go. Lovely. And get in the cabin. Make sure you get your door on the right spot. Now, here's the first thing I love. Whee! Whee! You can turn the seat around. And don't you wish they all had this? Ooh.
Welcome to the cab. This locomotive features 2 driving positions, dependent on direction of travel.
You can reach things through doors, which is a bit annoying.
This particular example of subclass/3 worked for direct rail services for 20 years, hauling nuclear flask trains.
You do have to turn this on. You do not have to turn on the other lever. So it won't go if you don't turn that one on. But we're going to turn on AWS anyway. And we want to go over here and rotate the seat. And make it taller, because I've got long legs. And sit in the chair. Lovely. Master key. Now, there's only a master key on one side, so don't let that worry you too much. Now we will set the reverser to engine only. And AWS goes, of course, and start. Hang on, let me get the window open. Now, the headlights, if you're using Raildriver, only works on that one over there. So this one you have to do manually. And I think the little dot, so there's a little dot on the switch, which make me wonder if that's an indicator. It's kind of on the wrong side if it is. But these are all things that I've told Adam about. Set the wipers to 50%. Make sure they work. Very good. There you go. Chuff, 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 chuff.
From here, we'll be moving the locomotive a short distance to a wagon nearby. The area is clear, so you can begin when ready.
You can press this, but it doesn't do
To
anything.
get a better view, you can adjust the camera to look directly out of the window.
Yeah, I can. Now, one thing I should show you, let's put the reverser to forward. Set the locomotive brake to 100, we'll do that. And set the train brake to release. Now, in the penalty of breaking the scenario, I will show you how to set the handbrake back to shutdown, because it's kind of important that you know. If you push the brake all the way around, you can't get it past emergency until you lift the pin, and then you can get it into shutdown. And I don't think we broke the scenario, so that's good. She has pretty good smoke. Good enough that I worry for the Gen 8 players, but that's okay. Now in this locomotive, you always want to bring your throttle back to on until the apps drop below 500, and then you can go to off. The game doesn't do anything about that, but in reality, you would cook your train if you did not do that.
To couple up, gently bump into the wagon, then climb out and connect the chain between the vehicles.
Actually, should I show you what happens if you don't hit it really gently? So we'll go in at this speed, which is, you know, actually I'll just show you the whole loco. We'll go in at this speed, a little bit hot, not much. Prepare for the bouncy bunny. Bouncy, 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 bouncy. Makes me seasick every time I do it. Go to the on position, wait for the amps to build. There we go. That should be about it, shouldn't it? There we go. Lovely. Alright, let's go and couple it up. He's very bouncy. I think, personally, it's a little bit too bouncy. Bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. Because I can say a real one definitely does not do that. Is Maverick whinging again? Oh yeah, we've got to learn about the wagon. Sorry, I don't following instructions.
This is an FNA, Type D flask carrier wagon.
You're not allowed to open the flask, sadly. You can check the lock. And you can put the handbrake on.
Purpose built. Each wagon carries a single 50-ton nuclear fuel flask in a secondary.
Yes, there is a panic button.
Loaded trains will typically feature multiple locomotives for redundancy purposes.
Now, the 20s physics aren't changed as far as I can tell. That seat. Set the brake to shit down. Shall do. There we go. Release the Kraken. Back to off. And Eddie lights back to off. And back over here. Whoop. You don't have to do anything with the lever once it's on. AWS just figures out what you're doing.
wagon connected, we're now going to exit the yard and take a short drive.
So this one works with Rail Driver. Where are you moving? There we go. Now, one thing I have seen is that it doesn't always amp up when you go to the on position. Most of the time it does, but not always. I think we're set, aren't we? We are set. She does whistle nicely, but that's not changed. Now, I'm not going to stop at the station even though it tells me to. I'm just going to go all the way around the loop once, just so we can experience it.
Locomotive, or bring the train to a stop at Metro South Station to conclude your training.
So there is quite a lot of change in the cab. Neither telephone actually has contact signaler, nor is there anything on the GSMR. So, and there's a panic button. You can press the panic button, it won't do anything. Resetting it is actually a little bit of a pain in the ass. You have to get just onto the right spot, which sometimes I can find and sometimes I can't. It's very hard when the train's moving because it's literally this tiny little spot that you have to get on. There we go, got it. So if we come and look at the Dewberry, the flask, and of course this is the outer flask. You can't actually see the inside one. It's all closed and you can't go in there, which is kind of sad, but I can kind of understand why they wouldn't let you do that. Amps drop and off. Not emergency. Full service will be fine. Full service should do the job, I think. I can't say it's the fastest stopper in the world, but it's alright. Maverick says Skyhook is quite good at patching bugs quickly, so not to worry about current minor bugs. Maverick's pity the panic button doesn't work. What would you want the panic button to do? It brings soldiers in real life. It'll stop. I have confidence. There it is. Lovely. I was going to open the doors. Can you believe that? Be professional. Don't let your mobile lose you your job. What about killing you? I would have thought that would be more interesting. But anyway, let's go and run up real one. Catching up with chat. Gav says the chair is a swing boy. Choo Choo says it's an ejector seat from when things go pear-shaped. It's actually a cool training. It is. I like it. That's why I ran it. Gee, Dave says, my only trip in a 20, I lost my coffee mug because I didn't realize the handles moved on the second disc. Uh-oh. Yes, they do. They're linked. Ah. I think the smoke is different, actually, in this one, Maverick. Let's go to... We won't run all of one of these because they're quite long, but let's just run the DRS one so you can see the difference. 6/17, let's make it July so it's good. Go. You just watched my short there. Did you watch the second one, Gav? There are two shorts. Shap uses the same modern one. All right, what have we got? We have a DRS, and we have a flask in an FNA, and another flask in another FNA. And we have a coach full of goons, except it has no goons in it, which is a bummer. And it has another DRS. Now, this isn't a Skyhook service. I was going to say a Chocky service. Plenty of them. This is actually one made by Rivet. So, someone just sneezed. Excellent. We'll run this one briefly, but not all of it. Lights, night running, yard work, day running. Let's get the brakes releasing. Oops, why did I throttle up? It's silly. Oh, look what it's got. And can we go? We can go. I'm very happy that they picked one of the 66s that actually likes Raildriver. It is effectively a wagon pack, yes, but it has some lots of services and scenarios to go with it. Smoking. Oh, gratuitous bridge shot. Have to do it. And the only downside of doing this is I am not in the mainstream version of the game. So even doing this, no one will see it. Isn't that sad? No one will see it. No one will go, hey, how come he's got that? That just makes me sad, but that's okay. Where you are? What are you doing over there, hiding? Don't worry, we're not taking another picture. Ooh, Tree Sim World. We're just going to have a look. No, fake Chocky scenario. There you go. Maverick wishes the suspension was less bouncy. The FNA is not particularly bouncy at all. You'll barely see them move. They do move, but barely. And there is a patch. Thanks, Voyager! There is a patch coming to make these move a little bit more. In fact, let me get you the goss on the patch. Hang on a tick, because I can tell you now. There will be... The bonnet and headlights can't be controlled by the switch, so that's the long one. There's a wiring error that's being fixed. The 20 doesn't appear in formation design, but the FNA does. There's too many elephant-oriented double-head consists in free-roam formations. They've now been swapped to be nose-to-nose. And the suspension on the FNA is too stiff. It has been softened up. So that'll be coming in a patch. The static layer for MML is some stuff sitting in yards. I did ask Adam where it was. Let me see if he actually told me. Leicester Depot and opposite Etches Park Depot at Derby is where they are. So let me pop those in the chat so you can... there you go. I'll pop that in the chat. Hello, Mark Moss. We are speeding. Very naughty. Very naughty. Let's bring our speed back down a bit. You can point out problems with it, Math. It's fine. The only thing I ask people to be is to be constructive, so I have no issue whatsoever if people point out issues. Still speeding. Still naughty. That's okay. We won't run all of this because watching this drive to Plymouth is not that exciting. We will do some 20 stuff and we will also go on to Shap. I won't run scenarios, but Skyhook scenarios, they're deliberately quite like services. They tend not to prompt you very much. So they walk you through a little bit of stuff, but not much. Chocky's going to build a 66 FNA plus Mark II plus Thomas. Why don't you do Thomas on one end and Diesel on the other end? Because, you know, surely the island of Sodor has a reactor. They must need to transport stuff. Or, actually, you know what it probably is? The reason that Thomas can talk and has eyes and is alive is all the nuclear waste is buried on Sodor. There you go. I knew I had a reason. There you go. Perfect. So who's ready to go and look at a Class 20 hauling one of these things somewhere? Anyone? 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 The pack is self-contained Alpha Star, so you will have the Class 20 and the FNA for the services that it runs with. If you want to see the Riviera ones, you need this 66, the DRS 66. Not 100% sure where it gets that from, to be honest. There's a lot of routes that could come from. And Riviera, obviously. If you want to run Shap, you need the 47. We can look at the layers anyway. We might go and have a look at the static stock as well. It was actually interesting because I thought this direct rail services 66 was actually a mod, but turns out no, it's in the game. More fool me. Good ambassador I am. As we head along towards the sea. We'll take this over by the seawall and then we'll change. Oh look. Flooding. Flooding that has now gone dry. It's funny what you see when you're not watching. I've never actually noticed that before. It's kind of cool. Flooding with waves. When did that happen? Or is this a swamp or something? No, it's dry now. That's so weird. And the frame rate's terrible there. Just stay in the cab. Can't see anything. I haven't run this route in a while, so it'll stutter a bit. The Mark II is from the 86. Cool. Thanks, Maverick. Noah says it all adds up now. Did you see my other short, thinking of adding up? The panic button short. Noah says definitely a lot of flooding in this area from Bridgewater through to Newton Abbot in real life. It is kind of flat. Alpha says, I'm missing out quite a bit of the DLCs. I have Rivia, but not this particular Class 66. I haven't tried to see if it'll run with another 66. I have heard of the live weather injector. It's actually been out for ages. It's at least a couple of years that thing's been out. People are suddenly all excited about it. I have a faint suspicion it's not going to stop in this station, which I noticed way too late. Actually, that's a better place to stop anyway. We can just push the containers off into the sea. Good plan. Alright, I think let's go look at the static stock and see what is there. Hey, you just saw the second short. Excellent, Noah. That just seemed necessary. They really did. On foot. And where's my list of spots? It's scrolled away, hasn't it? Of course it's scrolled away. That's fine. I'll go back to Adam's chat. Pick it up from there. Leicester Depot. So that's that one. We will do Shap Maverick. Don't panic. But don't forget 20's the heroes. We've got to slow off the 20. So what have we got here at Leicester? Ah, there we go. Here's your static stock at Leicester. 2 Class 20's ready to steal. Ooh, and they're cold start 20's. I just want to know if you can start them. I think it's important that we know these things. Now, does that start both, or do I have to start the other one? Oh, it starts both. Well, there you go. There's the answer to that question. You can start them and steal them. Excellent. All right, so... Ooh, they're revving up. They sound like they're gonna escape. Run away! Run away! But anyway. The other spot was... Etches Park at Derby. Which, that's up the other end of the route, isn't it? Etches Park, Derby. I'll have to check them all, though, just in case. Sileby. Mount Sorrel. Barrow upon Soar. Loughborough. Loughborough. Everybody loves a good borough. East Midlands. Pukeway. What's that? Long Eaton. Oh, that's right. That's the station with no station. That way. Attenborough. My guess was right, isn't it? It's at the other end. Not I am. Where's Derby then? I've lost Derby. Derby! Where are you, Derby? Where is bloody Derby? Beeston? Where is it? Someone's telling me in the chat, surely. Where is it? I've lost Derby. Could always go there. Ratcliffe Power Station. Where is bloody Derby? Zoom out and it's upper left. Oh, all the way up there. Oh, I went up the wrong branch. That's right. I'm an idiot. Thank you. Yes, we want to go to Derby. Thank you, Chocky. Oh, I forgot about the fast travel thing. What a bonehead. Yes, and it splits off at Pukeway. Now, which way is this park? Where's the yard? I'm guessing over there somewhere will be the yard, so we want to face the other way and run down there. Can't imagine it'll be that way. So we want to go this way and go down here. Come on. Or, just to make this quicker, we can spawn in a random 20. That'll do. Right locomotive. Because if we go in here and sit down... Come on. And sit. And then we can fly. I can fly! No, maybe it's that way. This way. Yep, I went the wrong way. Bonehead. Alright, so somewhere in here there will be some static stock. Not seen anything yet. In the shed? No. It's down here. Some coaches. Is it in the shed? Oh, you can't fly through those doors anymore. You used to be able to. Oh, there we go. 2 more Class 20s to be stolen fresh to you over here. All right, there we go. There's our static stock. That was really important. Not really. And should we torture our mate or should we do Shap next? What are we doing? What do you think? Alpha Star, you would get the Class 20 and the FNA with the pack, yes. You don't need any other layers. You need the routes for the services, though. Ah, all right. Let's have a quick look at Shap, and then we'll run a Class 21, because I like the Class 20. West Coast Mainline, Preston, Carlisle. Timetable, nuclear. And we want to do... I think you can use 47. And we'll use that one. Nuclear. That one will do. We'll have a look at it. Right, let's dive out and have a look. So we have 47 with a coach, 2 FNAs, and another coach. So this would be an unloaded one, because the loaded ones have two locomotives. Unloaded ones can only have one. Oh, well, we should drive this for a little while, I suppose. And then we'll do a 20. Forward. Let's release the train brake. Let's apply that so we don't roll away while I'm figuring out the rest of this thing, because it's been a little while. I know there's switches here somewhere you have to turn on. Tail lights off. Desk light, don't care. Marker lights, do we need those? No. Probably do. There's it. That one. That one. And... no. That should be air brake. Good, surely. That's released. Isn't there something else I have to switch on somewhere? Sure there is. Because we haven't had a bing. Which means there's another switch to switch on someplace. Maybe it's at the other end. Hello, Pete. Oh well, civil works. Wait for 1 minute. Oh, we're not supposed to go anywhere anyway, are we? We are in a 47 with our happy little coach and 2 FNAs. Just come up here by the points. Which aren't set. Grouse. Better check them all then. That one's set. That one's not. That one's not. Where are you going? We'll sit up at the first set and see how the FNAs deal with the frog. Adam does warn me that they are quite stiff at the moment, and there is a patch coming to unstiffen them. Good explanation, MTG, thank you. Sorry, folks, I'm not reading the chat very much at the moment. Let's just sit here so we can see the FNA's wheels go over this. Do it slow to give it the best chance, but don't expect too much movement, I expect. See, don't expect what I expect. Yeah, that sounds smart, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty smart. I've just got to watch my signals as well, or I'm going to end up doomed. So the coaches bop their way through it. The FNAs are... I see what Adam means now. The FNAs are a little too stiff. So there is a patch coming for that. So rest assured that's not too far off. I believe it's in QA now, the patch. So we'll run this one for a little while and then we'll go and run at 20. Do I have to set that switch that's right in front of us? No, I do not. That's fine. How are you, Pete? I hope you're well. All the other people who aren't chatting, welcome along. I hope you enjoy the stream. If there's anything you'd like to see about the Class 20 or the FNA that I am not showing just yet, we'll run a Class 20 service in a moment. I'm saving that one feel free to just sing out in the chat and we can go and have a look at it. I don't know a time frame, Math. That's not something that Adam can control. So that's with DTG to decide when it comes out. Now, I can say that we are quite lucky to actually get this pack. So Adam's cleared me to say some of the things that he and I chatted about when I spent a day with him on the Seven Valley. I didn't put any of it in the podcast because I really wasn't sure, but I've chatted with him since then. Skyhook's not in a brilliant place at the moment. They subcontracted out to another company on their game. It went poorly. It's been through the courts. It's cost an enormous amount of money. It's just about killed them. They are concentrating on their core, which is Lawnmower 2, and they are going hell for leather to get that out. They've only got Adam on Train Sim World. He's the only one. So we're kind of lucky that this pack came out at all. And it's only because it sounds cheesy, but it's because Adam loves the game that this pack came out. And his persistence. So I won't give you more details than that, but you can look up the court cases if you wanted to. If that was something that floated your boat. Well, you can try and sneak in from the outside. And you can check all your paddy lockies. There is a little bit of bounce in the FNOs. I'm just watching the two adjacent handrails there. There is some, because they're not quite lined up. So yeah, I see what Adam means. There is suspension, but it is stiff. They do have numbers on the tops of the flasks, yes. Maintlebarn is the bumpiest track of them all. You know it's necessary. Has to be done, yeah. I'll do it quick, though. I couldn't do it before. Now I'm allowed. Oops, that signal's still red. Maverick says this is probably the last Skyhook TSW add-on for a long time then. It won't be. So it definitely won't be the last one. As for time frames, none stated. That's the best I can give you. So if you feel like supporting Skyhook and you don't have the other cargo lines, grab them. The cargo lines are a decent earner for them, so it'll keep them going. And if you like lawns and you like simulators that aren't trains, when Lawnmower Sim 2 comes out, dive in. It's not really my kind of game, but I'll probably get it and run it on the channel so people can see it. I'll chat with Adam about if there's anything I should do for that. MTG says they've been updating Rough Track. Pete says, do you know they're working on fixing the Voyager on Manchester Commuter? I don't actually know. Hopefully, but I don't know. Alpha Star likes the tracks bumpy. If you like bumpy tracks, Maintalbarn is the route for you. That's the bumpiest tracks in Train Sim World. Ramsey says at £12.99 it's not particularly good value, but it's not functional, unlike the military pack, and I see these flasks running to Sellafield pretty regularly, so I'll likely buy this day one. Yeah, look, I think it's decent value given the amount of gameplay you get. I forgot the bloody other trains honk on this route. That surprised me. I thought that was my AWS going off. How sad's that? And I still can't really speed up. So you get quite a lot of gameplay for your £13. And Australians, what, it'd be about 23, 24 bucks, I imagine. And if you compare that to some of the previous packs that have had almost no gameplay for more money, then this is decent value, I think. And I've shown you the couple of things wrong with the 20. There's not much. Oops, naughty. Very naughty. A whole 2 mile an hour over the limit. What will the manager think? Now, I do know Adam with his services does love a bit of a bumpy service with red lights and things. So I usually appreciate them. Maverick says I'm going to get this pack not only for the DRS-20 new SHAP services, also support Skyhook and show that TSW is still viable. Yeah, it's a fairly important thing for them, I think, is to show them that they can still make some cash out of this. Ah, we've just had a green. Lovely. Just wait for those brakes to release so we don't hurt anybody. Hit by a roof, of course. Oh yeah, I'm not meant to be doing 75 yet. Yeah, MSB is quite bumpy, Math. It is. Melbourne Train Guy says, I have Lawnmower Sim 1 and it's relaxing. Maddie Mills says, Ayop, I've just been and watched your video on Class 323 setup. Thank you for that. I've always found the safety systems aren't really explained how to set that up well. They tend not to be, because the tutorials tend to cater to players that don't run with safety systems on. It's one of the reasons I do my tutorials. And since I'm there telling you about safety systems, I might as well tell you the rest. Alpha Star says, I will get this pack on release as well, as I like it. Maverick says, I've talked about that. Chocky says, I like the flasks and I fancy a diversion of the East Coastway, so 100% also supporting Skyhook. You can run the flasks on East Coastway if you want to. You can do that anywhere you want. In previous cargo packs have been $17.99. Is that Australian? I would have thought they'd be more than that. Chocky says, I feel bad for Skyhook. Look, they'll come out of it. They will. But they're just not in a brilliant place. always thought it was funny you can turn that on but not pick it up. MTG says, I think this is set to be the same. Oh, maybe, we'll see. Florian says, these cargo line packs are also fantastic for AI variation. I love seeing a military transport in this route while I drive passenger services. Yeah, I don't mind that they've been de-gunned. I know at one point there was a version that actually had guns. You know, just say it. That was the one featured in Military Magazine. I don't think we'll take this all the way to Preston, but we'll go for a bit. Let's come up here and watch the flasks. Went a bit too far backwards then. Of course, I have no way to know whether I'm going too fast or not now. But that's okay. Chocky says, I love seeing military trains on this route, even though I've never actually driven one because I count it a worthy purchase. And Roof Sim World, indeed. MTG says, just wait for the moaners to start making their review videos on how it's all wrong and see how the dominoes fall. Skyhook Rivet, a lot of developers get raked over the coals. They do. And JT get a free pass. That's very true, actually. It's something I've mentioned before, that JT can do no wrong. They could put out a route that was terrible and people would still rave about it. And as it happens, this route, most of it's been addressed, but this route, when it came out, had as many bugs as any other route. And there was nothing. Usual moaners are going, "Oh, it's so good." It's fair to say it gave them a chubby. But, no, imagine if Rivet had built it when it came out the way it did, they would have been all over it. And I think there's been some rather heavy surprise from people that, Rivet have been building the core routes pretty much forever. So, yeah, it's just the way it is. Maverick, you don't have to resent people that say that the developers get raked over the coals, because it's true, they do, and they shouldn't. People need to make constructive criticism, not just moan about crap. Some things matter, different things matter to different people, and that's fine. People have their views, which is perfectly okay. But a lot of people just consistently whinge. Flying Southerner says, what's your favourite UK train? Well, it's got to be a toss-up between Scotty and the 20, because, you know, been in the cab of Scotty and driven a 20. I have actually always liked the 20 because on Tees Valley it was the first AI train that honked. So it was quite good. The train volume's too loud for you guys, by the way. I've just turned down for me a little bit so I don't yell at you. I should pop a poll in, shouldn't I? Start my usual poll. It is quite cool to just see something different roving through the countryside. Just ignoring that I'm speeding, I'm getting a run up. Hello, Hannah Scott, welcome along. MTG says, always have flashbacks to my experience with BPV and people not willing to accept the issues I was having were anything at all to do with JT. Yes. Yes, it's interesting how that happens. I don't think... Do people really do it deliberately? I don't know. I get the impression in this we're only allowed to do 60. So, let's just pop that back to on, and we'll just let our speed come down with the aid of gravity, because I think we're limited to 60, just judging by that. But that's okay. Noah says it's very interesting how it works, as back in the day when JT were only developing for TSC, they were known as one of the worst from what I remember. They were, and then suddenly they were one of the best. And I think, awesome marketing job. And yeah, they do good stuff, but they get away with murder. MTG, Chocky, and why I point out the 220 is a Rivet train. Yeah, Rivet have made some really good shit. They've had some really bad shit too, but, you know. Most of the bad stuff they've made, I think, has been fixed with the exception of the 150 on West Coast Local. That's still terrible. We drove it tonight while we were heading for this stream. I'd love it if that was updated, but I can run another 150 on that route at least. Yeah, I think there's been quite a lot of good stuff coming lately. Third parties as well. There's a lot of interesting stuff on the horizon. High iron simulations with the Santa Fe pack. They seem to follow their usual course. They usually have a hero and a zero in their locomotives. They appear to have done that again. But the rolling stock's nice. Deliveries are pretty decent. There's the Santa Fe on the nose is a bit fluffy, and the lettering's a bit too bright on both of them. But apart from that, it's a fun pack. There's plenty of services. It'll get me playing Cajon again, which I haven't for, I don't know, years. Chocky says Joe Dobson was saying about how Rivet weren't very good with any of their stuff except Fife until he learnt that Riviera he was driving, in fact, their route, so he redeemed themselves. Yeah, they did an excellent job on Riviera. I kind of think routes like this one and Riviera and some of the others with the extreme levels of detail are potentially contributors to the texture issues. But why they are loading when they're not in memory, when they're not being run in the route, that is a question for core. But in the only times I've been able to make it happen on the X is when either this or Mildmay are installed. Either of these will kick it off. Weirdly, Blackpool Branches doesn't. Flying Southerner says, I want to drive a train for my 21st birthday. Would you say $145 to drive a diesel loco for 30 minutes is worth it? That's a pretty good deal, actually. That's fairly cheap. If you go to the Mid-Hants Railway, or I think it's £700, you get to drive for the whole day. So, see how you go with that. That was cheaper than what I paid on Swanage to drive the 20, by the way. That was £243, I think. Something like that. Got a mug though. Is it here? No, I've got the Dogcast mug. Remember, Railway Dogcast. There is a new episode out. It's a fellow podcast done by a couple of people I've met. Henderson David, and of course the dog. Dragon says, this is new DLC. My word it is. This is Cargoline Volume 5. We're currently cruising along Shap. And these are what come in the DLC. This and a new livery Class 20. Actually, the suspension's quite nice at speed. It's quite good at speed. So yes, this is a new DLC. The beaver trees giveaway, says MTG. Yes. You love the Voyager, Pete says, but it's all just a cash grab. Cash grab. There you go, someone can clip that now. Noah says, definitely I've seen an overall improvement with third-party content in general, which is nice to see. Yeah, look, I think as the processes have developed to integrate third-party content into the game, I think we will see more and more. I personally think we will see a flood of content for Trade Sim World coming over the next couple of years. You do know my thoughts that I think this is TS2, and I think in some time in the future, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it is, there will be a TS3 and Unreal 5. I'm quite firmly convinced of that. But we'll see. MTG says, can you imagine I'll post on the forum, Shap is the cause of blurry textures at KT's fault. Mate, they would eat you alive. Don't do it. Hannah says, Pete, how dare a company sell products to make profit? Fancy that, a business wanting to make profit. Yep, that's pretty much it. That is why they do this stuff. It's not for love. Love comes into it, I'm sure. You don't keep developers interested on just money. You keep developers interested because they enjoy trains and they enjoy developing in the game. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. Says he going too fast again. We'll just ignore that. It's okay. There's nothing to see here. I could just hide the HUD. See, look. Now you don't know. You have no idea I'm going too fast, except for the speedo. Florian says, having said that, I had blurry textures long before this, and Mildmo was released, and blurry textures are minimal on this route. Yeah, this route doesn't get them, but I think it does affect the others. And yes, there were blurry textures before this one. There are other causes. I think there's a combination of things that are affecting it. I did show, I ran CSX Heavy Haul last week, and there's blurry textures in that. But CSX Heavy Haul, I think, actually demonstrates the problem, because in CSX Heavy Haul, it was a very long route. It was more detailed than it is today, and there were 100-car trains. And I don't think the world was quite ready for that yet. It's like, this sort of detail is really nice, but, you know, it has an impact. And do I really like that the grass is animated? Hell yeah. But does it matter from in here? No, you never see it. You can't see the grass moving. So it doesn't really matter. Chocky says there have been so many third parties joining recently. I actually know the number, but it was said in confidence, so I will not tell you any more than it's a lot. So that's why I think there'll be a flood of stuff coming. It may take a while because they have to learn the game. Not all of them will succeed. Some will give up before whatever it is they're building comes out. And it's a range of one-man bands like Johannes up to companies that are getting involved in it. So I think that there's a lot of promise for the future. And I hope we get some Australian stuff. Noah says, yeah, time will tell, but I can see that happening. Florian says, that's where it started in TSW4, MTG, East Coast Mainline and Rossingham, Salzburg. They patched it in 2024 and it broke again in probably not 29, 24, that's, you know, in the future, with the release of the Expert 101. Yeah, I think there's been multiple hits with it, and sometimes it gets fixed and then a different reason it comes up. It's all to do with the texture streaming pool, and a lot of it can make a difference. So if you look on this dash panel, for example, this texture here, which doesn't need to be really high resolution, it could be. But you can tell that these things aren't really massive resolution just at the way they look. That they are just a tiny bit fuzzy. But some things, if you look at that, that's quite sharp. This is all a little bit fuzzy, so you can tell that this stuff is actually optimized. That's basically what it means, is taking the quality out of the textures because they're too high a quality. Because if you've got too many too high quality textures, such as our friends the high-res cows here, who have been dumbed down, then you'll start running out of memory. Maddie Hill says, what do you think of the possible more routes in northern England around the Lancashire area from Just Trains? I would love to see Victoria to Lime Street via Warrington. Possible cargo fun too. Well, you never know what they'll do. They do love their 80s era, so I think anything that suits their methodology and suits what they like to build, they'll probably have a crack at it over time, and I imagine they have an internal plan that they're probably not going to share, because we've seen what happens when routes get shared too early. Is people hype themselves up and then they don't come for years. Like Tadami. Tadami was shared way too early. No one should have said anything about Tadami probably until this year. Because, you know, we've been waiting 4 years for it now. People are a bit pissed off. MTG says the 101 does tend to tank when I use it. I've never understood why. I think it might have some pretty high-res stuff in it. I know it's got a toilet in it. And Chucky says, are we allowed to know the number of ones that have been revealed to the public like ATS? I don't know how many that have been revealed to the public, to be honest. I'd have to go back and check all the bloody roadmap streams to see what's been in the graphics, what's been said. So no, I don't think I'd give you that number. Florian says, oh yeah, the Aussie tier stuff would be brilliant. Yeah, it would. It'd be great. Have another country in the game. I'd find it brilliant because, you know, hello. G'day, mate. I live here. And I don't know if you guys know, but there's a strong friendly rivalry between Melbourne and Sydney and everybody and everyone else. And I wouldn't even care if it was a Sydney route, to be honest. I'd be quite happy. Because it'd be an Australian one. It's a bit like OMSI 2, the only Australian route is in Sydney. And I was like, well, I'll drive around Sydney. I know the roads anyway, so it's kind of good. Where are we on this route? We do have a little while to go. I think what I'll do is take us up to Shap Summit, and then we'll switch over and run the Class 20. And we'll do a full service on the Class 20, because it is 10:15. Noah would love to see Metro Melbourne with the Comings before they retire. Survive the Frankston line. There's a good plan, Noah. I like your thinking there. Here's my home line. Yeah, the Frankston line's a good one, actually, because you could run Werribee across the city. You could include the loop, bring it down to the Frankston line and include Stony Point and the steel trains. So you get some goods as well. So I think it would be an excellent candidate. Alternatively, you do something else around the Sunshine neck of the woods. So you've got Tottenham Yard, which is it's not as used as much as it used to be, but if you set it 10 years ago, you'd have a very full, very active goods yard. You could, anything around the city that included Dynon would have a really good commuter trains and goods and country trains. So there's a lot of opportunities of things that could be done that could be good. Yes, Maintlebarn, I think. Is it Maintlebarn? Maintlebarn has animated cows. MTG says, coming HCMTs and velocities, baby. I'd like to see the old sprinters as well, because they're basically our 150s. Mitten World Barn, that's right, not Mantle Barn, Mitten World Barn, I'm sorry. Chucky says, I think JT will keep building off their current routes so you can link them all. Yeah, I think so. And it's kind of something the ambassadors are counting on, because we want to do a run across all the way across the country, and we can't do it yet. Chucky says, I remember TSD running over one. It was a mistake. Yes, very good. Well, Tree World. Missed the bridge, but that's okay. MTG says, screw New South Wales, but give me their network for Trade Sim World. Yeah, exactly. It's because it's Australian and it'd be fun. Yeah, we could pop in at XPT. That would make the HST fans happy. Australian HSTs. It's essentially what the XPT is. The Flying Southerner would love to see an Aussie route in TSWs. Always wanted to visit, so it would be cool. MTG says I'd be able to drive T-sets and throw shade at that awful excuse for a state. That's a bit mean. We're going uphill, aren't we? Should give it more power. Maverick says you're about 20 to 25 minutes from Shap Summit at current velocity. Yeah, that's fine. We'll take it up to Shap Summit and then we'll run a 20 run. I don't mind running till about 11:30 or so, even though it's an opposite day tomorrow. Chocky says a good starting point for new countries such as Australia are using the HSTs as one of the trains. It saves the cost of making a whole new country assets and new trains. Well, the HST and the XPT are similar, but they are not the same. It's a different engine. Different mechanics, different physics. And you still have to make the new signalling system. The signalling through New South Wales and Victoria is quite unique in the way we do things. Our colour light signals aren't single colour, for example. Green over red and red over green don't mean the same thing, just as an example. It's easily as complex as any of the American systems. More complex than some of the German systems, I would have to say. The only good news is we don't have PZB or anything horrible like that. Noah said it would be a good route for a mix of local and express traffic. It would. Express up to Caulfield. Or express Caulfield into Richmond. Flinders to Pakenham and Cranbourne, says Melbourne Train Guy. You could do that because it could continue out to Gippsland as well, and if you set it in the right era, you could have the L-Class running coal trains. That would be cool. And because that line hasn't changed all that much, if you set it in the right area, you could easily run steam on it as well. Assuming you have the steam engines. Yeah, Stony Point would be necessary for Frankston. You could also add the line that's been pulled out to Mornington, because you know half that line's still there. Hannah said, "I'm glad they've added TSW6 to Xbox Cloud. I can free up tiny storage space on my Series S." Yeah, it's kind of helpful for cloud gaming. And it could be a saviour for the people with an Xbone as well, because they can run it in cloud gaming. MTG says, I'm from WA. You're a sand groper. And you dislike all you Easterners. Yes, it's alright. You know the people from New South Wales call us Mexicans. Yeah, it is quite a different cab design in the XPT. It's a different experience. Different coaches too inside. A lot of our XPTs are sleepers. Gav says, MTG, you are from the Wait a While land. Yes, they're time travellers. Because when you go to Western Australia, you have to travel back in time 35 years. Their pub's still shut at 6 o'clock. Maverick says in more Skyhook news are revealing a new mower for Lawnmower Sim 2 at 5 PM British time today. It's probably one of the Kubotas, I would think. It's because Kubota's just been announced as their game partner or their principal game partner. Maverick, Melbourne train guy laughed at Gav, that's good. Chocky says, I think we need more UK third rail. We could put some here. You could fix Shap. Noah says, do you guys have vigilance systems like DSD or CIFA? Yeah, we do. We have. It's called BC, funnily enough. It's vigilance. We even have it. We don't have it on the steam engines, but we do have it on the diesels. I think the reason steam engines don't have a system like that is because it's impossible to fall asleep in a steam engine. They're rough, they're grindy, they're very loud. You just couldn't. That said, I have seen one of our drivers fall asleep on a steam engine, but he's really old. Frankston runs locals, and actually if you dated it back 20 years, there would even be goods on the Frankston line. So we still had some then. Apart from that, we still got the steel train today, but that's it. Jockey just wants more Electrostars. Yes, probably. Jockey knew someone running TSW out of the cloud on a Mac. Well, the machine just becomes a screen, so yes. Stock is all good point. Comming, Siemens, Extrapolis all run there. You could also, if you backdated it a little, you could run the Harris. If you backdated it even more, you could run Tate's. I personally like the Harris. They're still my favourite train, the Asbestos Special. See, in the UK, sometimes you get to deal with trains that have a bit of asbestos in them. The Harris trains were rather famous because they're actually made of asbestos. Not just in them, it's everywhere. Every paddle was made of asbestos. Good stuff. None of us died, though. Yet. There have been HCMTs on Frankston doing tests, but there haven't been any in service that I've seen. I don't think so. Math says yes, it's Kubota. V for Viddies. Has anything done about that shadow pop-in of the fauna? On PC, yes. There are settings in engine.ini that can improve it. Shadow pop-in can't be completely eradicated even with the ini because the game actually overrides some of the ini settings. Yeah, it's true. Late night trading in WA goes to 6:30 on a Thursday night. Gav says there's a video of WA being pushed away. Yeah, I've seen that. The Northern Territory Tourism Commission did a funny one too about WA. Or something about, why would you want to go there? Hannah says, I use my Lenovo IdeaPad and run it on there. Yeah, you can run on anything with cloud gaming. That's the cool thing, is it's running on someone else's computer. I don't understand how they managed to afford it, but, you know. Because if you tried to buy the same compute resources that run games from AWS or Azure, you'd pay quite a lot. Flying Southerner is from Sussex in the UK, Southern and Thameslink. You don't say. You don't say that the Flying Southerner is from Southern England. What do you know? I never would have guessed, mate. Next thing you'll be telling me is that you're a cucumber. Oh, wait. Noah says it's interesting to have sleeper versions. I guess you could technically do the same here if you took some Mark III sleepers and put them in between two power cars. But we've never had an HST sleeper. Yeah, the sleepers are good. I used to commute back and forth between Melbourne and Sydney in my job. I'd have to go up to Sydney for meetings and stuff sometimes. And I'd walk out of where I worked near inner Melbourne, go into the city, have some dinner, get on the sleeper train, travel up to Sydney, get off the sleeper train at about, I don't know, 5:45, 6 o'clock in the morning, go find a cafe and have some breakfast, and then go into the office, spend the day there, come back, get on the sleeper train and go home. Easy. Absolutely easy. No traffic, no dramas, everything comfortable. The only thing I always did do, though, was book both berths in the sleeper, and the only time I forgot to do that, I had this burping, farting very smelly person, which was not attractive at all. Ah, yes, Hitachis. You could run Hitachis, definitely. Hannah says Flying Southerner, the former First Capital Connect service. Bob's Railway Madness says, what do I want in Train Sim World? Freight locos that are not 66s. I know there's a 90 in the works, but I still need more. Yeah, look, I tend to agree. While the 66 is ubiquitous, there were other things that have been, at least in large enough regions, that they would work on multiple routes. So I think the reasoning... Ooh, what did I just see in there? I think the reasoning of the days of 66s... Look what we found. I've never seen a 47 in here before. Cool. But I think that the day of the excuse of we don't want to make a 66 because they didn't run everywhere, now that there are routes from all over the country, I don't think that really stands true. And yes, there should be 66s rather than 66s. Hannah says it's Microsoft, they can afford it. Yeah, probably. And yes, Sussex actually is quite a nice area of the country, having been there a couple of times now. You can certainly do worse. Actually, it was funny. I was talking to a girl on our railway when I was there last Friday. Not the Friday just gone, the one before it. And she was really interested in the steam trains, and I got her up in the cab so she could have a look around. And she was from the UK, and I was saying that I'd been on a trip to the UK, and she goes, oh yeah, what did you think? And I said, oh, most of it's really good, except for Swindon. And Swindon's the only place in the UK I've ever been where I thought I was going to get killed. And she goes, I'm from Swindon. And me just went, see? You're angry. It's kind of funny. One of those days. No dynamic brakes in this beastie. People think the 700s are the worst thing ever. The trains got faster, but the seats are crap. Well, it's like McDonald's. It's designed to get you in and get you out again. They don't want you comfortable, so you might sleep in the bloody things. Flying Southerner says, at least I can sit in the rear of a first-class compartment on a standard ticket where the seats are tolerable. Yes, that's true. Oops. I meant to move that lever, but I'm bonehead. Alpha Star says, Hulk, and I have passed Shap. Yes, we're going down the other side now. So I suppose we should change over to the 20, shouldn't we? I think we should definitely do that. Let's do that now. We should do a full run on a 20, I think, even though it's getting a little bit late. Because it's necessary. Come on, world's speediest game. Actually, let's come in the other way. Train depot, timetable. Oh, the FNA is in Formation Designer. Sadly, the 20's not. Nuclear. Let's run the shortest one. That one. Oh, we'll even leave dynamic weather on. But let's start with a... Oh, I can't do anything with that because it's dynamic, can't I? I was going to start with a touch of fog. But no. A nice metal bridge, says Chocky. Noah says it's very close to my town of Reading, and people from Swindon tend to talk positively about it. I think most of the town was fine, but when I got there, I walked through... Oh, I picked a duck one again. There is a daytime one. Let's do the daytime one. Do the daytime one. But when I got off the train, I should have just gone straight. Because if I'd just gone straight, I would have gone through a fairly nice walking market area. But instead, I wanted to see how far up the Steam Museum was, so I walked up to where the tunnel to the Steam Museum is. And then I just asked Maps to take me to my hotel, and it took me through an abandoned few blocks, and they were a bit shit, to say the least. Right, daytime, 7:21. That'll be a daytime one. We'll do that one, and we will make sure that it is actually daylight by doing July. I did also see people get beaten up in the Spoons that was opposite my hotel. When I was thinking about going over there to have dinner, and I was watching these people get beaten up out the front, and I thought, yeah, nah, I think not. Master key thingy. Did I not put the master key in? I thought I just did. Oh, hang on. Do that first. Then that. Now put master key in. Turning these things on that I don't want. Bing. Brake. Release that. And headlights. Today. Alright, let's pop out and have a look at the Class 20. It is basically the same model that we had before, except that it now has modern headlights on it. And it's got a nice weathering job on the front. The sides are fairly clean. The bogies have some reasonably nice weathering, although they are very bright and shiny. That said, all the DRS locos I saw in the UK trips were bright and shiny, and this one has 2 locos and 2 flasks, so these are probably loaded. If you weren't here earlier in the stream, you can put the handbrakes on if you want to. I assume this is for picking them up. This hole. You can try and open the flask cover, but you're not allowed because they're locked. I'd love it if the odd one wasn't locked. We should have a flashing red on the back. We do. Nice. And it is time to go to Tring. Get some amps on so we don't roll. Ooh, window. I'm going to turn this back up for me because I like a 20. That makes me think the second one's not running. I think one of them does travel dead. Oh, it's powering. The physics of them feels decent. I need to put my seat up higher. Whee! I've got no legs! Bob's been seeing Class 70s on cement trains to Earl sidings and Hope Valley. Good stuff. Be good to see 70 in the game. Flying Southerner says, next time you happen to be in Sussex, Paul, give me a bell and I'll come and say hi. We can do that. It's at 1 in the morning. Yes. Oh, now we've got smoke from both. Cool. Love the predictability of this game, don't you? Now, the panic button doesn't actually do anything, but if you watch my short, have a giggle. Hannah once spent a few days in Swindon. That was enough. Noah says, I was waiting for an HST to go back to Reading a few years ago and overheard someone say Swindon is very underrated. I thought he must be some type of Swindon cocaine variant. Although there are good bits of Swindon, says he, going way too fast. I'll be nasty and keep it in on with the brakes on, as you do. So there are nice bits of Swindon. The Steam Museum's quite good, and the area around all the GWR buildings is clearly looked after quite well, and it's clearly policed quite well as well, because it's just empty, whereas the middle of Swindon is populated, shall we say. Yeah, this is an Adam type of service. Red lights everywhere. Cody Melik says, does the Class 20/3 have DSD and vigilance systems? Yes, I think. Where was the switch? There it is. No, that's GPWS. There, that one. No, not that one. I'm stopping a little ahead of that signal and it's changed anyway. I'm sure I found a switch somewhere for DSD. Oh, there we are. So yes, it does have DSD. You turn it on down there. Oh, now we get to do this again. They've synced up. That's funny. It's not something you'd expect a locomotive to do. We are, of course, still on the yellows, so I should behave myself a bit. Get to the chopper. I was clearly too slow on that. Clearly too slow on that one. Don't have a brake demand, so it's just me not pressing the button quickly enough, I think. Is it going to let me go? Right, on. And maybe it's not. There we go. There we go. I don't think I had to do that when I made my tutorial. Interesting. I'm going to blame that on you, Cody, because I turned it on. Lieutenant Dan, you've got no legs. Indeed. Hello, C. Noah says, yeah, most towns have their good and bad bits at the end of the day. I know there's a big steam train model at the station somewhere, though I've not seen it myself just yet. Yes, there is, in the passenger waiting area. Too much. I made the wheel slip lights come on. The lights are on always. They glow, and they come on brightly when they need to. But they do light up from the sun as well, which is kind of annoying. Actually, I think I haven't mentioned that to Adam yet, that they do that. Noah says Didcot isn't particularly nice either, but it does have a great railway station. It does, and a great railway museum. Yeah, I stayed... I was in Swindon where I was staying, actually. And went over to Didcot for a day trip. '60's fine for the points, it seems. I needn't have bothered slowing down. Can we have some amps, please, Mr. Locomotive? Maybe not. What it's doing now with the amp meter is a bug, and I've mentioned it to Adam, but it's a bug from the original 20. So it's unlikely to be fixed by Skyhook. Flying Southerner said, the red light spells danger. Billy Ocean told us that in musical form. You're welcome, Cody. Hannah says, the Flying Southerner usually followed by stop right now. Thank you very much. Yeah. That's fair. Bob's into the Spice Girls. Flying Southerner says, Hannah Scott, nope, the next lyric is can't hold out much longer. Maybe it was on a different red light. Ooh, Kinjitsuka, can you pick up that hanging telephone? These ones? No, you cannot. That's one of the things I've reported to Adam, is there's no way to actually contact a signaller in here without using the good old-fashioned method. So hopefully that will come in a future update. I'll go through them again. Let me find the chat, because there are some things that are coming in a patch soon. Just find the list. So as it's coming tomorrow, the bonnet and headlights can't be controlled by the bonnet facing headlight switch because they're wired up wrong. The Class 20 doesn't appear in Formation Designer, but the FNA does. Oops. Too fast. We'll let gravity take care of that. There were too many elephant-oriented double-head consists in free roam formations, and they've now been swapped for nose-to-nose. And the suspension on the FNA is too stiff, and that will be loosened with softer springs, and that's coming. Those things are coming out in a patch. There's no timing on that patch, but I believe it's in QA now. Hannah Scott says you may have to ask Roxanne about the red light. Yeah, that's a classic. Chucky says wire on the fast line to avoid getting stopped by passenger trains, probably. MTG says, I don't think she needs to put it on. Flying Southerner says, I'll leave that to you, to Hannah. That's naughty. Chocky says, you might have to tell Skyhook this because I doubt the 60-mile-an-hour nuclear train should be on the fast line with 125 tilting pendolinos. Why not? It just adds to the fun. Surely it's a good thing. Oh, you can't hear DSD from outside the cab. There's something I'm going to tell Adam. Can't hear DSD going off from outside the cab of the 20. At least it's released by itself this time. I didn't even have to take the throttle off. C says, sorry I'm late, I just got home from attending a hospital appointment with my brother. Hopefully everybody's okay. What is this service? It is 6062. I'm going to turn off DSD so I can keep going outside the cab. I've just reported that to Skyhook as an issue, and I'll stick it in the list I've given to Govtail later. Bob says, I'm not into the Spice Girls, but I remember that song from years ago, have a fairly good memory. See, my memory in my role, I get paid to know more and more about less and less until I know everything about nothing, so I'm quite good at it. MTG says it gets fast due to priority and security. That's quite possible. And Noah says, I think pretty much all non-passenger stuff runs on the slow lines. It might be because they just want to get this through, but getting it through during the daytime I think would be unusual, but maybe this service exists for people like me who need to stream it, because streaming stuff at night doesn't look that good. MTG says, sorry, that was a question, not a statement. Kodik says it's a shame the Class 20 only does this route. They've been all over the UK doing nuclear RHTT and rail tours. It subs in all over the place. So you'll see it on MML. You'll see it on West Somerset Railway of all places. So, yes. But you will see these things pop up in many places since they sub. We're being very naughty again. Noah says, found out that one the hard way. I would like more services for this all over the place, Cody, because yes, it would be kind of handy. Get out of the way, glow in the dark. Kenjitsuka, thank you. Yes, we are almost at 10. Very close. And that's basically thanks to all of the people that have kind of formed a community around this channel. So it's absolutely awesome. Quite amazing too. A lot of it has come from my crazy short. I had a short that's last time I looked at it, it was 1.5 million views. I should see what it's up to. I kind of lost interest in looking, to be honest. Let's have a look. I'm curious. Analytics. Gotta find it now. It was a while ago. That was weird. Game froze. $1.9 million. There you go. My crazy short. We'll keep believing the yellows. Flying Southerner says, with my upload schedule, I need to make something go up on Christmas Day. I have a good idea on what I'm doing, and we're going American. Excellent. Chocky says, normally one of these trains arrives at Dungeness at 10 AM, so it'd be early morning here. I'm surprised there actually is that much nuclear waste, to be honest, but, you know. I assume it's not every day. Bob says, I'm more into Roy Orbison, Bee Gees, The Tornadoes, and voice play for your music taste. Ah. Hannah Scott says, I'm a radio presenter, so my music taste is rather varied. Yes, Cody, it appears on the West Somerset. It will sub in. So pretty much anywhere the Tees Valley one subs in, I think this will, because it's essentially the same locomotive. So you won't have any FNAs on West Somerset, just the locomotive. There you go, we're coming off the fast line, so the people who were saying we shouldn't be here, the signaller has listened and is taking us off. Melbourne Train Guy says WSR has a rail tour layer for the BR20, so it might be subbing for that. Yeah, it could be. Where did I get the t-shirt? I had it made. This is from my channel. But, I've never decided about merch. Should I do merch or not? I wear it because, you know, it's part of the branding of the channel. But, I don't know. Would people buy them? Maybe I'll just put the design up somewhere and you can make your own, rather than getting into somewhere terrible like Spring. I keep looking at the brake pipe pressure, this one, going, yeah, I'm going fast, but no, I'm not. I'm doing 20 mile an hour. And I pan down and go, oops. It's a crazy short, Gav. It's just mental. Hannah says, the Flying Southerner, I once met Alison Moyet. She was in for an interview. Really nice woman. I met Chrissy Hines. You know, of your Touch Yourself fame. See, just think, if they made the Pendos nuclear powered, they wouldn't need these trains. See? Simple. Chocky Transport, the Dungeness one is usually once every 2 weeks, and every couple of months they change the day it runs for security reasons. Fair enough. Chocky says, I'm going to be back after I eat some lunch. See you soon. Gav says, the most popular video is a 1972 setup and drive at 51k, and the most popular live and a gameplay pack with UK, German, and USA 12k. That's pretty good. I've only had one crazy shot. The rest of them sort of sit at around, probably around the best ones, somewhere 15 to 20k, and most of them sit around 1 to 2. But there's plenty that get, you know, 10 views. Never seen again. So I certainly can't pretend to know the algorithm and what it does and why. As we make our way towards... Ding! V says, do you find DTG's current sales model acceptable? What would you like different? Subscriptions? Subscriptions works pretty well with things like Game Pass. Oh, look what we were holding up. That's why the signaller kicked us out, because we're holding up a Pendo. What are you doing? Just walk around and say, oh, yeah, walk away now. Good on you. What do you reckon he was doing? While I'd love to keep up with the Pendolino, I don't think that's happening on this train. Since we are speed limited. I'm not sure if they've done any changes to the sound set, but I always quite like the sound set on the 20. It doesn't quite match reality, but it's very close. It met Mike Reed. That's cool. Maverick says there was some railway news that made international headlines today. Someone sabotaged a railway in Poland. That happens a little too much, sadly. Actually, I should go and find you guys a video, because if you want to compare it to reality, we should... Title... Let's play TV. Why do I get the impression I missed something while I was out there? I think I was too slow on a AWS acknowledgement, just personally, when I was trying to find the link to my video. But that's okay. Is that on? I don't think it is it? It's too late now, but I could press that. It's interesting we've had a break demand. I'll have to put that in my list to Adam, because we just had an AWS break demand and we did not get a break demand light. Actually, I wonder, have I got that set to the right side? Desk 2, Desk 1. How do I know which desk it is? How do I know? Is it marked? I'd be guessing this was desk 1, surely, because this is the front one. Hello, Caleb. Hello, Andy lad. I am well. I've just managed to stop my train again. We need to know, was it fuzzy? Oh, come on, I can't catch up with it. Bastard. It's too fast for me. I have seen the Class 46 crash test with nuclear flask, Cody, and if you have a look at my shorts, I reenacted it. With one of these. Hospital radio, Hannah Scott. It's alright, I did student radio in a uni. It's probably fairly similar to hospital radio. Limited in what you can play and can't. Sykes says you driving a real Class 20 was a kid in a candy store. Indeed. Maverick says going to head off now. Good night, everyone. Please send my congratulations to Adam. This looks great. Cool, will do. I'm glad that was yellow. Oop, we have a red coming. I think I can just see it in the distance too. I can see it, definitely. Hello, Jumbo Train. Weren't you here before? Sykes says, to see your nuclear come with a Class 20? Yes, it does come with the Class 20. We've just gone yellow. Comes with the 20 and the FNA that you see there. V for 50 says many people are bothered by the annual complete update, first free then paid. Why not simply keep the core game as it was at the beginning and improve it regularly? Well, the annual update's free now. So, I don't know why people worry about that so much. Train Sim Classic updated every year. Oddly enough, this year when it updated, it broke some stuff, but they didn't even change the game. All they did was change the HTML file and the 2 JPEGs that come with it. But some stuff broke, which is very weird. Caleb says, I wish we had some old high hood stuff for vintage American freight. Trying to think what there is. GP9. There's a GP9 in the game. On Clinchfield. I think it's a GP9. Now approaching Tring. Hannah says we have a music policy which basically keeps things familiar with no swearing. That's a bummer. In TSC, they changed the logo just to make it, you know, the 2025 version. But they didn't change the code at all, but something bad's happened in the deployment process. Hannah said I had a request show where we had the first cut is the deepest, followed by Stairway to Heaven. Excellent. That's what you need in a hospital. Humour. Bob says, I think the next cargo line pack leader be something for oversized loads like boilers or a breakdown train. Both of those would be fun. Imagine if we got a Schnabel. Getting a Schnabel in the game with grouse. Travel along at 5 kilometers an hour so you could move it over so you miss this post. That'd be pretty good fun. Our long wheelbase is helping us maintain speed at the moment in these corners, but that will change. Oakville Gav. What's on Clinchfield? Let me Google while I head for this red signal. SD40. Yeah, that's what's on Clinchfield. What other hospital song should Hannah be playing? I wonder if my other half's gone to bed and left her computer running behind me. Yeah, the F7 is Clinchfield, but it's not a high hood. It's a Bulldog. Noah says the only thing I would say, it's nice to have it like TSC, where it's always just been one game on Steam. They still give annual releases. Yeah, I think that would be useful, Noah. I don't completely get why they don't just do that, to be honest. Because while they do have to re-release all the DLC, I think they could still do that. But it is handy. One useful thing is buying an ancient version of Train Sim World for just about nothing. And getting a whole pile of roots. Will Lawton says, just join. Notice you're talking about add-ons that have been either for sometimes years or still waiting for the 104 for peak. The 104's dead, from what I understand. That team's gone off and worked on something else. Hannah says, I visit the cardiac unit for requests, so any song about heartbreak. That'd work. As we cruise in on the yellows, weirdly behaving myself. V says, from a marketing perspective, many argue an annual or seemingly fresh release ultimately destroys the brand. EA is a prime example. I don't know that it really works that way. I can see your next thing is it certainly isn't the case with GTB, but many players and potential buyers don't realise this. See forum posts and comments. I think that, yes, there probably is some consternation with it. But, and while... I mean, I can't say I like it. I don't like downloading all the content again any more than anybody else does. But every time they do it, it boosts their player base by hundreds of thousands of people. So I can certainly see why they do it. Psych says, Pat Benatar, Heartbreaker. Gav says 104.5 is definite in the shelf. I think it's fallen off the shelf, Gav. I think it's dead. I'd put it in the dead category. Hannah Scott, most requested song is My Way. Song about someone's finally moments. Meatloaf would be good from Eternity. I can't wait to get out of this place, but also be good for maternity. Bit of Twisted Sister. Noah says, also love loading TSW 2020 and getting 120 FPS on routes. Yeah, but they were a little blander then. I mean, there are things, like I showed it before. If we dive into the grass here, I guess there's no wind here. Oh no, there is, because some of it's moving. And you can see how it moves. Okay, that's nice. But I can't see it from the cab, so who cares? Don't bother with it. I think there are things that have come into the game since it started that make it a bit silly. Gab says it's on the shelf full of dust and cobwebs and never coming. That's quite possible. And Will says the 104 would have been a great add-on if the sounds were done right. Shame it's gone. Yeah, I agree with that. The 104 would have been good. And the 107. And various others. 104 probably would have been good for Pete because you could modernise the route with it. Mind you, you could still modernise the route with some older Brit stock as well. This is very much an Adam service. This is typical him cruising on yellows for everything. Ah, Psycho Killer, what a song. The man in a giant foam suit. Oh, goody. Guess what? You can't hear AWS outside either. Ah, sigh. There you go. Good bugs. Now we have to wait. So let's just put on the independent brake and let's go look at the flasks because we haven't done that for a little while. Let's go and check them out. It's funny that one padlock holds the mechanism closed, given how easy it is to open a padlock. Have we got release yet? Yes, we do. No Fallout Vitty, but if you go and check out my short, you'll see what happens when you press the panic button. At least we don't have to worry about yellow signals anymore. Ashtagod39, you are a real train driver. I'm a fireman on a heritage railway, but I do get to drive the trains. Bloody cats. And I have driven one of these in the UK. Hello.
the stream.
I thought you'd gone to bed.
No, I was making sausage and egg muffins for Alex for work.
The ROG is pretty good, Will. I quite like the ROG. Staying Alive could be the theme song for this train too. Dizzy Goo loved watching the video of me driving the Class 20. It was awesome fun. So if you get the opportunity, Psych says hello. Yes, that was Mrs. TSD wandering around making muffins. She does that. You did hear sausage and egg McMuffins, yes. But she makes them for my kid. Not for me. Gav wants to know if she can make 36. I think she just did. Makes them and freezes them. Chucky says, shame the ROG 37 isn't on enough routes. You don't like the sounds on the ROG, Will? Pendo just puts us to shame, doesn't it? It's a non-fuzzy 350. They're a rarity for some people. Dizzy asks, have you been getting quite a lot of feedback on the blurry textures experiment? I have, and it's quite variable, to be honest. It's a bit interesting, the outcome. Some people removing their DLCs does make it go away completely, and other people it doesn't. So that's weird, which tends to mean it's something to do with a combination. I've talked to a few of the people where it doesn't, where they reply back to me, because I ask everybody, and people who are on things like the Xbox One or the Xbox One S, they get it all the time, and I don't think that's going to get any better. Similarly with the PS4, I mean, it's just not going to get better. It's just not. They just don't have enough memory. But it's been quite interesting. Will says, no, sorry, I'm an AP fanboy. I gotta say, each to their own, I'm not much of a fan of AP. Not because of what they make, but because you get into this spiral of, oh, you want this, you've got to buy this and this and this and this and this. And you want one locomotive and you've got to spend $1,000 to have it. So, you know, I'm not a fan of that. If you've been in it from the beginning, that sort of thing's not an issue. You just keep growing your collection over time. But if you want to start, it's not a good experience. But it's a bit like the people who Steam Sound Supreme, for example. The people rave about their Steam sounds. And because I'm a fireman and I work on steam engines, I go, you clearly have no idea what a steam engine sounds like. Because they don't sound like what they make. Ooh, flickeries. I wonder what that light is that's flickering there. Let's put the cursor on it. Hazard lights. Yeah. How interesting. Something else to point out to Adam later. Where are my instrument lights? There we go. I didn't have them on. It's quite a long tunnel, this one. I is the keybind for instrument lights, Chucky. Surprise, a Pendo. Hannah says, just making yourself some toast. Don't have Vegemite. I do have off-brown yeast spread. You're right, Psych. It does sound pretty bad. It sounds like something you might go to a doctor for. Chocky says, I remember an argument where someone had their Xbox One X and they were adamant it was a Series X. It's not, it's 1X, and they were wondering why they couldn't get Brum Crew. Yes, people don't necessarily understand what they've got, or they're not willing to accept what they've got, which can be quite different. Yes, speeding again. No, it's alright, see, you don't have to talk. It's perfectly fine. YouTube's just popped up and goes, now's a good time to insert ads. Close. Whoop, gratuitous bridge. I don't know what my fascination is with bridge shots, but, you know, it has to be done. As we make our way towards the start of Mildmay. Florian says, yeast spread is wrong regardless. I spent 30 years in Australia and never got used to Vegemite. That's bloody awesome. The best thing you can do is hand a jar of Vegemite and a spoon to someone and just watch what happens. It's an Aldi brand. So it'll be the lid will be made in Germany, the jar will be made in Poland, the spread will be made in China, mixed with something made in Taiwan, and bottled in Ireland. That's how Aldi works. It's weird how sometimes the amps don't come up. This was a bug from the original 20, and I think even though they've redone the gauges and stuff, it still happens. Lioness, you're quite correct, Chucky. That's why I should be asleep by now. Because, you know, it's an hour after I usually go to bed. Gav says they get in this set mind, they think console is this one, but it's not. Yeah, I mean, it happens to people. Because, you know, I mean, who understands everything about technology? You look at things like, you know, which version of a phone have I got? Dizzy Goo, I am planning on coming back next year. I do want to visit a couple of railways where there are opportunities. The Mid-Hants Railway is one that actually has a very good driver experience. I have fired trains in the UK, but the driven ones are driver experience stuff. Because there's nowhere that will let you drive without being qualified on their railway. Talathin let me fire on their railway, which was awesome. But our railway and the Talathin railway have a sister relationship. So we accept each other's qualifications, and we still supervise when people come over from their railway to ours and vice versa. But there's plenty of it happening. There's actually a guy there from, I think he's from West Somerset. There's a guy from Puffing Billy who works on West Somerset, and there's one that works on Bluebell. They've obviously left our railway, but they are working on those railways. So I guess it's kind of handy to be working on a railway that is well regarded by other railways. It's just a handy thing. Hannah says, Marmite has the famous slogan, you either love it or you hate it. I'm not that much of a fan of Marmite. It's like weak Vegemite. We just passed where Pete lived about 3 minutes ago. That's cool. And Chucky says, I think this is one of those services that uses one of the lines around Williston that only Adam knows about. It's possible. We'll find out soon. And Syke says it happens to every guy, she said. And Chucky's happy because he just saw an Electrostar. And we're back on yellows by the looks of it. I'm surprised I'm still managing to drive this, because to be honest with you, I'm half asleep. Yeah, look. I like to look at those trains. They're quite distinctive. Samantha's train says Seven Valley was quite open to people from other places as long as they were passed. That was 15 years ago. I've been in the cab at Seven Valley. I've been in the cab at Bluebell. I've fired briefly on Bluebell. The one at Bury, I've had a what was supposed to be a 2-minute cab ride there ended up going up and down the line 4 times. Fired a little bit on that trip. There's my favourite Bakerloo sighting. Chucky says you'll wake up when we hit Wembley. Depends how hard we hit it. C says, I'd really love someone to do Birmingham to Shrewsbury. I was just thinking I don't have enough potential to make it happen. I reckon that would be a good route, actually, because it's the kick-off point for a whole lot of other Welsh routes. So I think that they're probably... I reckon it'd be a good opportunity for that. It's probably a third-party route rather than a dovetail route. But I could see it happening. Chucky says, I remember seeing a 153 come down in March, caught it in my Kenton video. And just about everything you'd need to run Shrewsbury is actually existing in the game. Chucky does love his 377s, Gav. Bad things happen. What's my favourite train livery? Real ones? Real one's my favourite has to be the latest paint job of Talalin on the Talathin. That is a magnificent colour. I know some of the purists hate it, but it's a magnificent colour. They've done really well. I think my favourite contemporary livery is actually probably is Bakerloo, to be honest. They're just cool. They're instantly recognisable. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, you're going to recognise that train when you see it. Chocky says it's my Neon Colors 170. Oh yeah, that does make an appearance every now and again. Do you know I'm not even subscribed to that anymore, and I don't have it in my liveries folder, but it still turns up. I think my favourite joke livery, I made a pink train that said something like Matt's Love Child on the side of it. And it turned up in one of Matt's streams once. Will says his dad worked in the ticket office in Llangollen. 197 and 67 plus Mark IVs are missing for Shrewsbury. Yeah, I've got most of it though. I visited the Llangollen Railway with Sea. It's a beautiful town, that. If anyone's looking for somewhere to go to have a nice, peaceful week, you want to just hang out somewhere, that's a really nice place. It's quiet, people are friendly, it's good food. Very nice town. And it's having a waterfall in the middle of town, that's just awesome. I know it's not a waterfall, it's rapids, but you get what I mean. Chucky says, I get Rex Rail stock everywhere. Hannah says, mine probably has to be GWR. A marked improvement on the first Great Western. I love the racing green colour with the Art Deco typeface. It is a pretty one. I like the houses built on the bridge. It's kind of cool. Ah, we have a green. Oh, we just saw fuzzy textures. We're doomed! Doomed, I tell you! See, the Cambrian line is my local line. Aberystwyth to Pwllheli. I hope I didn't say that too horribly. Or is it? No, it's Pwllheli, isn't it? I think. That would be the line I rode out to Tallaght, wouldn't it? And then later on took it up to Porthmadog. I'm going way too fast for this corner. Way too fast. But we survived. It's okay. Yeah, I could see it being a good town for a break, Samantha. Abergwynolan's really nice too. So's Tarwin, for that matter. Tarwin's a little bit dead, but it's very friendly. And the lady whose house I stayed there each day when I come back from Tallaght, there was a box for my boots out on the front veranda so that I could carry them inside because she didn't want anybody to take them. And she didn't want me to wear them inside because she had white carpet. And there was a bathrobe hanging on a hook so I could take off my overalls and put that on. Because she didn't want them coming in either. Hannah says, I agree with you on the Bakerloo livery. TFL has such a great design. They've always been really strong on design in the underground. Like, really strong. Right throughout their entire history. A lot of the railway posters that have been in the underground are just amazing. If you go back and look at what's been in over the years, they've had such a strong focus on it. Florian says, in real life, I loved the Freight Rail Blue 81 class from the 90s, which I saw all over Sydney as a teenager. Some were it now with Pacific National patching. I think I've got an 81 kicking around somewhere as an HO model. Our ones, I always like the Victorian Railways X class for the and the T class for the diesels. They're always my favourites. And the streamlined S class for steam. But as the modern steam, the R class has to be the winner. I think if you're coming from Sydney, you're going to have to toss up between the 38 class and an R as to which one's nicer. Will says, the Corn Mill is the best pub in Llangollen. Great views of the rapids from the outdoor terrace. I had a dinner there. Also, the little cafe right next to the bridge. I ate there too. That was really good. The pizza shop near the bridge is also really good. They were fully booked out, and I came in and said, is there any chance of a seat in the next couple of hours, thinking, I could get me in, and they found a chair from somewhere and put me next to the bar. I was like, nah, we got you covered, don't worry about it. Samantha's Train says, get you a discount haircut for my brother-in-law if you visit Aberystwyth. You can say hi to my 5 nieces and nephews. There's a few then. Transport Games Racing, hello there. You've joined just in time for almost the end of this stream, because we're just about finishing it shortly. But you can always rewind. If you want to rewind and watch it, rewind before it finishes, because it takes a while before YouTube lets you play it again after I stop streaming. Chocky says, well, you remembered to slow down. Yeah, eventually. We are using some different track, that's for sure. Oh, hello, Pole. I don't recall ever coming down this track before, but, Adam's creative. And no matter what you were saying, you are. C's off to Pwelly for next weekend, for a weekend next month. That'll be really nice. Hannah says the London Transport Museum's website has a lot of the old pastures. It does, and they have a lot of them inside too. They've got a really nice collection. The Postal Museum's another one with a nice poster collection. Samantha's Train says the A2 wins on the nicest sounds. It makes pulling up a hill barking like a dog. The A2's an interesting locomotive. It's not much more powerful than our little narrow gauge machines. Seems hardly worth speeding up, but Benjamin's Brain in a Jar asks which routes does this DLC work on? So the 20 is West Coast Mainline South. The FNA wagon works with a 47 and coaches on West Coast Mainline Shap. With the DRS 66, it works. The FNA will turn up on Riviera in a couple of services. There's static content on Midland Mainline, but not much of it, so don't expect much. Just a couple of 20s hanging around where you can't see them. Hannah Scott says Welsh countdown, consonant, consonant, consonant. Yeah. I did get the impression that a lot of Welsh pronunciations exist to take the piss out of the English. Will Lawton says I'm about 2 minutes away from his dad's house. That's cool. Florian's, he's going for 3801. Ooh, controversial. But the X class is cool. Love the C class. Came up to Sydney quite a bit. There were 2 that were standard gauge at the time. I think all the C class are standard gauge, aren't they? I think it's what they were made for. And there's not much point in flying up here because we're only going to get stopped soon anyway. Chocky says this is the line to West London that the 377s use. Clearly I don't drive the 377s much. C say I might live in Wales, but I'll never be a Welsh sports fan. England all the way. Don't let the Welsh hear you say that, mate. They'll come get you. Very bouncy. I think the 20 is carefully designed to make you seasick. God, that's a close fit past that, isn't it? Florian says they are nowadays. Back then it was 2 of the 10. Ah, cool. $300 odd yards till the end of this stream. It's been a pleasure. Let me stop the poll. Yeah, because that's what you do when you're heading towards a red signal. Just coast up to the end. Samantha says the last run of the A2 got out of Ludell before the grade separation and the gradient eased a little. The driver of the K at the back led it, so most of the work made the impression it worked. Yeah, we'll do that. Let one loco let the others do the hard work. Not quite there yet. Refuse to stop until we're actually there. Oh, we've got such a long train. We really need to make sure we're in at the back. Gav thinks C might get tied up on a train. I think it's taken it from me. That'll do then. There we go. Don't even get to shut it down. Sad. But anyway, that's been it for Cargoline Volume 5 Nuclear. I hope you've enjoyed the stream. I've covered the good things and the not so good things. So, yeah. Let me know what you think when you get your hands on it, if you're planning on getting your hands on it. So I appreciate everybody coming in today. It's been quite a strong audience turnout for this one. So maybe I should stream it this time more often. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen, and let me know. I'm curious, so either on the Discord or commenting on the videos. Yeah, a little bit of speeding there, Chocky. I do have a tutorial up for the 20. So you can have a look at that. I've actually got 2. I've got a run through of the in-game one, and I did one of my own as well. And I've got a summary of what this pack is. The only thing I missed out in the summary was Midland Mainline, because I'd forgotten about that when I recorded it. But, life like that. Anyway, have fun, folks, and enjoy yourselves. My next stream will be on Wednesday night. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to. Actually, ooh. I'm heading out for a boys' night on Wednesday night, so maybe I won't stream. We'll see. We'll see how late I come back. Maybe I'll put a surprise stream up. We'll see. Ah, hey, Adam. You've been hanging around in the background there. Well done, mate. So Adam Lucas is the person you can thank for putting this together from Skyhook. So, yeah, great to have you in the stream, mate. Really good. Anyway, have a great night, folks, or a great day, or a great morning, whatever it is where you are, and enjoy yourselves. And yeah, let me know what you think of it. Chuck it down in the comments on this or on one of the tutorial videos, and I look forward to seeing what you think and what you make of it. So, yeah, good stuff. See you later. I said you later, didn't I? See you later. Button, go.